Hi guys, it's Fox Spirit here, coming to you from the Fox Den, and I am here to deliver my video. Um, so last week I did a poll on Instagram to see what kind of content people would like to see from me whilst we are in the midst of our quarantine, and a lot of people voted actually mostly for um, inspirational pep talks with humor. It seems like most people just kind of want some entertainment right now and some relief from heavy stuff and just sort of maybe an overall reminder that we are all going to be okay. Um, Also, a lot of people voted for yoga videos and breathwork and meditation. Well, now that I have quite a bit of time on my hands, I am going to attempt to sort of make my way through all of those different topics and deliver you different kinds of videos. So if what I bring today isn't really your cup of tea, don't pigeonhole me with that because I have more to offer. And some days I might be just kind of in a funny mood and want to just be entertaining. And other days I'm going to have an actual topic, which brings me to today. So today the topic is going to be yoga and meditation for grief. I feel like grief is plaguing all of us right now to some extent or another. And it's also sort of a misunderstood state of being where I think that a lot of the times when we think about grief, we think about, large scale grief like the loss of a loved one or destruction of a home from a natural disaster or something. But grief, it can be more subtle than that. And sometimes we're just grieving the loss of a lifestyle. We could even just be grieving right now our favorite coffee shop that we like to go to, or not seeing our friends, or anything that this virus has brought us, what challenge or change or transition that we're thrust into now in this new landscape in uncharted territory. So I just wanted to come in here and offer some insight and some love to people and just reminding everyone to have compassion for themselves as we are all going through this time. I feel that anyone out there who could potentially make anyone be feeling right now like they're doing it better than them or they've got it all figured out, don't buy into that. No one has this figured out at all. And anybody who is acting as if they do, they're just kind of perpetuating the exact issue that has brought us to this point, which is a separatist, elitist attitude, individual attitude that is only focused on people, their own selves and their own worlds, without really taking into consideration everyone else. And if Corona, or Rona, as I so fondly like to call her, has taught us anything, is that we're all connected. We're connected. What happens in China can happen here. What happens in Spain, Italy, Singapore, it can happen here. And just as quickly as this virus has spread, what if when bad things happened around the world, we didn't say, well, that won't happen here? What if we felt it when it was happening to our sisters and brothers and kin, that we're not necessarily blood related to, but we are all related in the fact that we're all the same species and we're all here on this planet taking up space? What if we cared as much when it started to happen somewhere else as it does when it starts to directly affect our own lives, and not just think about, well, I have enough food, I have a great house, I'm okay. It's really not just about that. So there's a lot to unpack here, and there's way more than I can really begin to go into on this video, and I don't want to go off on platitudes and get lost in the point of what I'm trying to bring today, which is just a little bit of room, a little bit of space for grief, because it's real and we're all feeling it probably on some level. Whether you're or not your family has been directly affected in the way of the loss of a loved one or a sickness, or you're just affected by, not seeing your loved ones. Maybe you're just actually grieving the fact that you have to work from home now. Maybe that's a hard change. Maybe you miss your office or your morning commute. we get into our routines, and when then those are broken down, it's something to grieve, and that's okay. If we're just grieving something that small, that we can't get in our car and drive to work, or that we can't see our coworkers for a while in person. However this is affecting you, that's okay. What we're doing here in this video is we're going to create a sacred space, a sanctuary for grief, for sadness. Just a space right now, right here, where that is welcome, that is seen, that is held, that is okay. We don't have to shift out of it. We don't have to change. We don't need anyone to tell us it's going to be okay. Right now, we can be in grief. We can be with sadness. We can say, sadness, I see you. You're welcome here. I accept you. Grief is coming up in us because it wants to be seen. It wants to be felt. It wants to be heard, acknowledged, and absorbed. We have to make a little bit of time to allow that to come through, to bubble up in our beings, and to know that it's okay. So we're going to go into a meditation that I'm going to lead, and from the meditation we'll segue into the yoga, and that's pretty much what it's going to be. The yoga is going to be very gentle. It's going to be more restorative, so it's not going to be a lot of poses. It's not going to be highly active. You don't have to be super athletic or a yogi or anything to do the yoga. All I would ask you to be is incredibly gentle and compassionate with yourself as we move through the poses. And if you do yoga and you have blocks in your house, I would encourage you to use those, or pillows or blankets, whatever you have. If you don't have blocks and you just have things like this in your house, like I do, then you can use those. Find things, maybe books or something about this size and shape, and that will work just fine. So my kids are here while I'm trying to film this, so if there's a little bit of background noise, that's all it is. And, they're a part of my world, and they're welcome to be around. So we're going to make this video with as much love as possible. We are going to be as kind and gentle with ourselves as possible. And with all that being said, I'm going to read a quote that I wrote down today. And this is a quote from Pema Chodron. She's a famous writer, spiritualist, and she wrote a book. She's written several books, but she wrote one that I really love, and it's called When Things Fall Apart. If you don't own the book and you're having a really hard time right now, it's an excellent read. It is full of compassion, and it really teaches us the art of having compassion for ourselves. So I'm gonna read that quote to you from Pema. I did look up how to pronounce her name, and there were a couple of different pronunciations on the internet, so I'm actually unclear on how she really prefers to be referred to as. But I'm gonna go with Pema Chodron for now. Okay? P-E-M-A, Pema. All right, here's the quote. Things falling apart is a kind of testing, and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem. But the truth is that things don't ever get solved. They come together and they fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, room for relief, for misery, for joy. Beautiful words, my beautiful heart. So now I'm going to go into the meditation, and I really want to take that quote with us into the meditation because I find that it's very fitting for what we are doing here right now in this space together, which is we are creating a sacred space. We are creating a room for grief, a room for misery, for relief, for joy. And if you are in a joyful state during this time, that's okay too. Everything is welcome here in this sacred space that we're creating together. So without further ado, I'm going to come onto my yoga mat and I'm going to come into a nice seated position for this meditation. And you find your comfortable seat as well. If you have a pillow or a blanket you like to sit on, go for it. If you want to have something that you can cuddle, cradle, or hold on to, this is about comfort and nurturing. We want to make this a nurturing, loving space. So whatever you need to create that space, begin to create it now. If you need to take a minute, if you're in your house and you weren't prepared to have objects with you, take a minute. You can get out a blanket, blocks or wannabe blocks, pillows. I have several pillows nearby. I actually have my lavender plant here as well. And, anything that you want to bring around you right now to just really create the space. We're working towards making a loving, nurturing sanctuary here. So I'll let you just get those belongings together. Take a minute. And come into your nice, comfortable seated position. It's an Indian style, cross legs, or what have you, what works for you. I might just adjust my So come into your seated position. You don't have to sit on a pillow. You don't have to sit on a blanket. I personally like to sit completely on my mat or the floor because I like to feel as connected to the earth as I possibly can. But since I'm not doing this outside right now, I'm going to just do that from sitting on my yoga mat. But the point here is what works for each individual. So find your spot and meet me here and seated. And then we want to look at our hands, the palms of our hands, and think about how do we want our hands to be. We're being very intentional with how we're setting this up. So do you want your hands open in a receiving state? With our palms open, we're saying, I am open to receiving, I am open to allowing, and I am also sending energy back. I'm in an open, receptive flow state with the universe and those around me. If we aren't feeling that and we're feeling more inward, you can put your palms down upon your knees just to set the intention that this is a practice just for you and you want to go more inward. You want to seal the practice in. Neither is better than the other. It's just really where you're at today. Sometimes we want to go more inward and keep it just for ourselves, and we need our energy contained to keep our balance. Other times we're feeling like we're high vibing and we want to be open and in that state of back and forth energy. So check in with yourself and see where you're at, and then find your perfect hand placement, whether it's palms open on your knees, palms down on your knees, palms lifted, elbows at your rib cage. And come into that position. And then you can begin to shut down your eyes. We're going to start by connecting to the breath. So pull up a beautiful inhale from your belly, from deep down, from the caverns of your being. Energy that you don't even know you have, but you can pull out access to when you're feeling depleted. Find that breath now and pull it up. Let it rise, climb up your torso, fill up your rib cage, fill up your chest, clavicle, dance up your throat. Relax your jaw, cheeks, your brow, your forehead, and let it release from your mouth. I want you to begin to envision a giant boulder way deep down under the earth. Down deep in the soil, a strong, large, steady rock. And envision a root tethered to this rock, to this boulder, shooting up the earth's core until it comes up to where you are and wraps itself lovingly and firmly and securely around your waist, planting you here on the earth in this present moment. So that you feel secure, you feel stable, you feel rooted. And now from this place of firmly being rooted in the ground, begin to get reacquainted with your breath again. Pulling up beautiful life-giving energy from our being. Letting that breath pull up our abdomen, rib cage, expand in our chest area, into our hearts. And envision your heart like a 10-petaled lotus, right there in the center of your chest. Beautiful, colorful flower. Let the breath dance along with this lotus flower. And climb up your neck. And again, relaxing your face. Kissing your eyelids. Let the breath exhale from you. Repeat this cycle of breath, pulling the breath up from the base of the spine, up the torso, midsection, through your throat chakra, up to your third eye, and letting it release. Repeat this cycle at your own pace for 3 big, beautiful breaths. Now that you have acquainted yourself with your breath for today, become grateful for it. Tell your breath thank you for keeping you here, for helping you stay calm when you're scared, for helping you speak when you don't have words. Thank your breath. We take our breath for granted, but it's always there for us. It's our own built-in, intrinsic, self-cleansing system that we have at our disposal morning, noon, and night. And how often do we forget that it's there? Now I want you to allow your breath to become more natural, still intentional, still aware of it, still grateful for it. But we're not going to be so focused on the breath now as we allow it to move at its own pace and move into the guided meditation with our eyes closed down, firmly, securely rooted to the earth. I want you to begin to envision that you can see yourself from outside of your body, almost as if you're above yourself, floating on the ceiling, watching. And what you see is a person seated on the ground, their eyes closed, breathing. And then you see a second person step outside of that person like a ghost, like a shadow, a second self, stepping outside of you. Envision this part of you walking away from your body, walking out your front door, walking down your front steps if you have steps, and finding its way out into the world outside, almost as if it's its first time seeing the spring. You look so carefully at each thing you see in your field of vision. You notice how green everything is, as if you've never seen the color green before. When you take a step, you're aware of your foot lifting from the ground and then planting itself back down. You're aware of what the ground beneath you feels like at your step. You're in community, in communion with the world around you. You find yourself walking along a trail until you come to a forest, a cove of a forest, like it was magically placed there for you maybe. You set foot inside of this little grove, this wooded area. You admire the high canopy of trees, and you notice the colors all around you in this forest are vibrant and alive and iridescent. You reach for a leaf, not to take it. You don't want to take anything from nature without its permission. So you only caress this leaf, but you find that the leaf wants you to take it. It reaches out for your palm, it falls into your palm, and it melts right into the heart of your hand. In this leaf, with all of its vibrant colors, with its rich greenness, seeps into your skin. So your skin becomes the same iridescent, beautiful hue of the forest around you. You feel this nourishing, life-giving energy running throughout your body. Dousing your skin, deeply absorbing into your elbows, your knees, all of your joints, healing them, whispering love and healing. Like honey, sacred honey, drenching itself all over your body so that you're glowing. You look around this forest, you see these trees, so rich in their green, so alive with their color. You feel like their branches are dancing and they're watching you, telling you that you're safe, beckoning you to stay. There are animals in your forest too. You look around to see the soft, loving eyes of the deer, the kind, curious eyes of the fox, the playful, warm eyes of the bunny rabbits, and whatever other animals you see in your forest, only watching you with kindness, compassion, and love. They're merely observing you from a non-judgmental place. You feel surrounded by safety. And as you stand there, you feel a breeze come over you. A breath, clean, pure wind, blowing in your hair, whispering all around you, shivering you, waking you up to life, a new life, a life where only love exists, a life where you are safe, because you feel that in your own self. Your safety isn't coming from something outside of you, other than this forest that you have created, which exists in you. You created it. You created a safe, beautiful space just for you. And as you feel this love rippling through you, the sense of safety, your heart begins to beam. It lights up golden. And it sends out golden beams throughout the forest, to the tops of the trees, and out of the trees into the sky. These golden beams go far, they go across the world. They encircle the globe. They touch the hearts of people far and wide, and they send their golden beams back to you. And you feel this beautiful connection. It lights you up. You're warm and alive and connected. I want you to place your hands on your heart and take a big breath. Breathe into your heart chakra, which is signified by the color green, color of life, things that are growing, things that are living. Breathe into that space now. And really, with your eyes shut down, really, really go deep down into your heart and ask it, what is it grieving today? And then listen. Breathe here. And allow whatever comes through to come through. Surrender to it. Here in your sacred space, in your forest, surrender to your grief. Make room for it. Make room for it. Bring that beautiful breath, your life force energy around your heart space. And when you're ready, thank the forest. Take your time. Your grief needs room. don't have to rush it to feel better. You don't have to escape it. You can stay with it. You're ready. You can leave the forest. Give it one last long, beautiful look. Catch the eyes of your animal friends. Memorize the leaves. Imprint the trees and how they feel, their bark, their roots, deep into your mind. As you leave the forest, knowing you can return to it at any time. It is your sanctuary. You've created it, and it's there for you. You can leave the forest. You can nimbly walk home. Your steps might be lighter. Or maybe there's more for you to unpack when you return. Either way is okay. Again, you're creating room. You come back to your house. You walk up your steps if you have them. You enter your front door. And the second self walks in and sees you seated on the ground, meditating. And the second self steps into your body and reunites. And the part of you watching from above collapses into your body as well, all coming into the one you that is sitting on the floor here and now. And breathe here from your belly. Remember your rock that is under the ground, that is tethered to the root, that is keeping you solid and stable. And take a big, deep inhale and feel yourself rooted to the earth. Exhale. And gently take another big, deep inhale. And exhale. As you once again really feel that rooted connection to Mother Earth. Thank her for loving you. Even if she sometimes delivers us hard lessons and takes us to task, she can be firm with us. She is still a Mother Supreme, and she loves us unconditionally. So feel that love. And take a big, deep breath. And exhale. And one more big inhale. And as you inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Exhale, drop your head back. And as you inhale, reach over to your right side. Plant your right hand down on the ground. Let your elbow come to your mat, if that's available to you. And give a nice, big, deep side body stretch. And as you inhale, come to the opposite side. Let your left elbow hit the mat. Let your right arm stretch long and breathe here. And inhale, come back to center, arms up, extended to the sky. And exhale, lower down and let everything melt forward and fall down into the ground. Breathing, we're going to come into our first pose, which will be child's pose. This posture encapsulates what the body naturally wants to do when you're in a state of duress, which is to curl in. So we're going to allow ourselves to curl in. So we're going to come onto our shins here, tops of the feet on the floor. Spread your knees apart. Shift your hips back. Reach your arms out in front. And if you have a block, you can put a block down for your head to meet, if that is comfortable for you, or you can let your head just hit the mat. Either way, find your child's pose, your variation. And we're just going to be here for a while as we collect our journey. Very slowly, lovingly, we're going to begin to move a little bit here. We're going to go into just a little bit of a flow series. A child's pose, flow, gentle flow. Everything we're going to do today really is going to be very gentle and loving and intentional. So we're going to come up, and on an inhale, lift yourself all the way up, torso long, arms above your head. And do a very gentle back bend here to whatever degree feels good for your body. And then as you exhale, come back down into child's pose. We're going to pick up the pace just a little bit and do this 5 times, but you can do it at your own pace. Inhaling and exhaling. Gently, lovingly, and with compassion. When you've done that 5 times, you can come back down into your child's pose. Let your body rest. Feeling into your heart chakra. Compassion. And then as we come up on an inhale, we're going to bring our shins parallel to one another on the mat. You can keep your knees wide. And very gently, going to come back onto your hips. Bring yourself up. We're going to come all the way up into a standing position. So you can bring your toes to meet the mat. Bring your fingers down. And as we slowly come up into standing, you're going to get your feet flat on the ground. can do this a little wide if you like. You can take your feet all the way to the mat, or you can, the edges of the mat, or you can keep it hips distance apart. We're gonna slowly roll our body up one vertebrae at a time. Come up into our standing position. I think my head's a little cut off here, but it's not necessary to see it. So coming into standing, we want to have our feet planted firmly on the earth. Again, we are connected and rooted. We're strong and stable. Lift your kneecaps. Engage your belly by envisioning your belly button has a thread attached to it that is pulling it back towards the back wall. Your hands can be out, shoulders back, back straight. Your knees can have a gentle bend if you like, and breathe here. When you're ready, on an inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Exhale, you're going to come down into a forward fold. You're going to find what forward fold works for you. You can bring your hands all the way down to the mat if that feels good. Or if you have your blocks / books, whatever you're using, you can use those and bring your hands to those. Whatever feels good. If it feels good to you to just drape your arms down, you can do that as well. Let them dangle. Bring one hand to either elbow, opposite elbow, hands to opposite elbows. I like to put my hands under my feet, kind of cradle them as I come into my fold. Just find what feels good for you. Come to that space and place and breathe there. This is about you honoring yourself, your body, what it needs. It's not about looking good or anything like that right now. We're just being gentle and kind, making room, making space for all of us. Just feel into that stretch. If you want to have your knees bent when you come into this, that's perfectly fine. On an inhale, we're going to rise up. Back to our standing position. Again, envisioning that thread, linking our belly button to the back wall. And take a nice breath here. On an inhale, we're going to bring our right foot forward about 3 feet. Keep your left foot back. Your toes can be pointed sort of towards the outward edge of the long side of your mat. You want to keep that stable core. Our hips are pointed straight out. And if it feels good, you can have a soft bend in the front knee. On an inhale, you're going to fold forward. And if you have your blocks, you can use these again. So you bring them on opposite sides, either side of your leg as you come down. So we're going to inhale and exhale, bringing our arms down, planting our palms at the level that is comfortable for us. So you can bring them to your blocks. You can bring them all the way down to the mat. You can have a gentle bend in the knee, or you can keep your legs straight. You can try to bring your head to your knee. It doesn't matter so much if you can bring your head to your knee or if you don't need blocks. What matters is how it feels for you, and trying to keep your back straight and not do too much rounding in the back. Just be gentle with yourself here. Your back leg is stable and secure. Your hips are even, and you're breathing. The focus is on loving yourself. The focus is on being gentle. The focus is on compassion. You're ready on an inhale. You're going to come back up. Bring your front leg back to meet your back foot. Find your stable base again. And bring your left foot forward about 3 feet. Your right foot can now be pointing towards the long edge of your mat. On an inhale, you're going to lift your arms up. And as you exhale, you can find your blocks again, or find the floor. Find the point for you that feels best. Come to that space. We're going to slowly inhale. Now shift your back foot so that it's pointing, your big toe is pointing towards the long edge of the mat, bringing it even with the edge of the mat. And we're also going to shift our left foot so that it is now also parallel to your right foot. So our feet are parallel, our legs are wide. We are in a wide-legged position. So bring your hands to our hips. Again, we're engaged. We're remembering to keep our hips level. We're remembering that invisible thread running from our belly button to the back wall. We're taking a nice big breath. Our feet are planted firmly on the ground. And we begin to lower down halfway. From the halfway position, exhale and come even farther down. You can bring your hands down to the mat, the floor, farther in, wherever you like to be. And as we come down, you let your head go as far as it can go. If you need a block here, you can bring a block for your head to sit on. You can have a very gentle bend in the knees. Just want to come down to wherever is comfortable for you. It's not about getting your head to the floor. It's about what feels good in your body. And it doesn't hurt. If it hurts, come out of it. Just come to where it feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, you can just come back to halfway. You can stand back all the way up with your hands on your hips. Just keeping your legs out wide. Very slowly, we'll come back up. Bring your palms out in front of you. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way back up. And then you might just do a little leg movement from side to side. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then we're going to come back to to a seated position. Voila! Onto the ground. So however you want to get there, find your way back to seated. And we're going to bring our legs out long. Lift up your right knee so it comes into your foot right that comes into your groin. If you want a blanket here, you have blankets nearby. You can roll them up or fold them in such a fashion that you can bring one under your knee. If your knee needs a little extra love here, you just put that right under there if you like. You can bring a pillow in on the action. We are trying to be as nurturing with ourselves as humanly possible. So all the props, use them. All the things that make you feel good. You know, scatter flower petals all around you if you like. You want to feel loved. So lifting our arms up on an inhale. And we're going to bring our hands to our feet on an exhale. Try not to let your knees splay out too much. If you want to bring your head all the way down to your knee, that feels good. You can go for it here. But again, the point is not about getting your head to your knee. It's really more about an energetic pull. So you want to pretend and envision that there's like this energetic pull between your head and your foot, like your head is trying to get to your foot. And if it feels more comfortable to you and more gentle to not have your hands on your feet and bring them to your calf, you can stretch in that fashion as well. So we're really just being very intentional and asking our body, hey, does this feel good for you? Are you comfortable? Your toes are flexed upward, and you're breathing here. So when you're ready, you're going to settle back. You're going to switch sides. So we'll bring our right leg long, left knee comes up into our groin. And again, finding that sweet spot for you. It's different for everyone. Just decide if you want a blanket under your knee, if you want a pillow tucked under your knee, if you want a pillow tucked right here, you know, whatever you want. This is a gentle, we're staying with our feelings here. So we're being very kind and loving and intentional. So find that sweet spot, and from there you're going to inhale and exhale, come forward. Again, envisioning that your head is trying to get to your foot. As you inhale, this time come forward and bring your both legs out long. We're going to go into staff pose. So we'll bring our hands and plant them firmly on the mat, both palms on either side. Our toes and feet are still flexed upward. There is energy running throughout our body here. Our shoulders are back. Our back is straight. We are facing forward. Our gaze is towards the wall in front of us. And we are going to feel our toes flexed up. We are going to feel our hands planted firmly in the ground, our back straight. Even though this pose doesn't look like you're doing a lot, everything in your body is awake, it's working. And if you want a little more active stretch here, you can actually lift up your heels off the ground. But we're keeping the breath. I like this pose because, especially for what we're doing right now, because it is a little bit challenging. And it's sort of underestimated in that way. But I like to think of it as when we're rooted to the ground and when we're strong in our base, we can still challenge ourselves, we can still be active, even from that space of just complete and total security, safety, and solid connection to the ground. Exhale, let it all down. And bring your knees up to your chest. Maybe just give them a little hug here. And bring them back, your legs back down and give them a little shake. Then on an inhale, reaching your arms up. Exhale. We're going to come back down to our feet again. And find that sweet spot for you again. Again, with the props, you can bring blankets under your knees. You can have your hands not all the way on your feet if you don't like that. But if you do like it and you want something more active and you want to keep your feet flexed, and you can clasp your hands behind your feet and really get into the stretch here. If you're going with that option, you're probably feeling a really good stretch. Either way, this is about loving ourselves. Once again, I'll say it again, because we are just going to keep coming back to our hearts here. In the making room. So very gently when you're ready. Very slowly. Exhale that breath all along your body. And come up. Maybe do a couple of neck circles here, one side to the other. We're going to come all the way down into our mat here. We're going to go into bridge pose. This will be our last pose before our final resting pose. So the last pose before the last pose. So you're going to come down onto your back, keeping your lower body in this sort of triangular shape. Our feet are still planted firmly on the ground, as well as our posterior is planted firmly on the ground. And if you want a block here, you can bring a block in between your knees as such. You can see what I'm doing. It's a block just right between your knees. Feel that pressure as your knees press into the block on either side. You don't have to use a block if you don't want to. If you're not using a block, just sort of envision like a rubber band around your knees. And it's keeping you from pulling your knees together, but you want to feel as though you're trying to bring your knees together. So it's like a push-pull kind of sensation, like a tug of war from your right knee to your left knee. And then on a nice big inhale, we're going to come up, lifting up our backs. If you want to bring your other block underneath you, you can if you want a more gentle stretch. You can make like a shelf here at your lower back, kind of right above your posterior, your lower back region. That'll give you a more gentle stretch. If you want a more active stretch, you can clasp your hands underneath, bring your arms straight, and breathe. Our core is engaged here. We'll feel this in our arms, our upper arms, shoulders, our abdomens for sure, our glutes. It's a really good stretch for your thighs and your hamstrings. Just continue the breath. And think of this pose sort of like your heart. It's a bridge between your lower body and your upper body. A bridge between the part of you that's heavier, that needs to be stable and solid and rooted, and the part of you that is lighter and more fluid and floaty, the part of you that can have its head in the clouds if it wants. But it's much easier to have your head in the clouds if you have a nice solid root. So we like to think of our heart as a bridge between the two parts. So when I come into bridge pose, I sort of like to think about that. The marrying of everything that we've done today, between the meditation and the gentle yoga. This is the bridge between the two. When you're ready, you can just melt yourself back down to the mat. Bring your knees up to your chest for a gentle stretch. And you can kind of massage your back by going back and forth here. And if there's anything else you need before you come into final resting pose, just give yourself that. I like to do a little toe massage, or you can do a happy baby, which is where you take your hand around the outside of your foot on both sides and just kind of rock around like a baby, like a happy baby. It's not always the most flattering position, but man, it feels really good. When you're ready, just come into your final resting pose. This is called Savasana. So this is a corpse pose, which is sort of the death of our practice. So we come into our place of stillness, letting your body become supple and melt to the mat. All parts of you relaxing. Pillows and blankets are really great at this point. You can bring a pillow under your head, under your back and your butt. Any spot that feels good to you right now, go for it. If you have a blanket, you can just drape it over your body. As you come into your place of utter stillness and complete relaxation, corpse pose signifies the death of our practice, the tying up of everything we went through on our journey. This is the end. And we are waiting to be born again. As yoga helps us heal and regenerate ourselves time and time again, this pose is a signifier between what we are shedding and what we're coming into. So find your corpse pose and relax. gently turn to your right side. And we're going to come back up into our seated position, slowly and gently. Bring our hands to our hearts in a prayer position. And have some gratitude for everything you did today, for showing up, taking this time, making room for your grief. And remind yourself that you've created a safe space now, a sanctuary for yourself, a forest that exists inside of you that you can always return to. Namaste. Thanks, guys. Check you later.